The sun had barely risen over the quiet countryside as Daniel Hughes stood at the edge of his family's ancestral property. At 35 years old, Daniel had inherited the estate from his late father. It was a sprawling piece of land dotted with overgrown trees, wildflowers, and an old family cemetery tucked away behind a cluster of ancient oaks. Growing up, Daniel had always heard whispers about the Hughes family legacy, stories of his great-grandfather, William Hughes, who had been a prominent inventor in the early 20th century. William's death nearly a century ago had been surrounded by mystery. The family spoke of his brilliance but rarely mentioned the circumstances of his passing. They said he was buried with a significant part of his work, but no one knew what that meant. It wasn't until Daniel stumbled upon an old, locked chest in the attic of the family home that his curiosity turned into urgency. Inside the chest were faded photographs, brittle blueprints, and a sealed letter addressed to the future of the Hughes family. The letter, written in William's shaky handwriting, read, "To those who find this, the truth of my work and my death lies beneath the earth. What I have created may change everything, but only if you are brave enough to uncover it. Seek the grave and find what I could not reveal in life." Daniel's heart raced as he read the letter over and over. What could William have meant? Was this some cryptic message about his inventions? The more Daniel thought about it, the more the pieces didn't add up. He had heard tales of William's innovative work with machinery, but he had no idea what could be buried with him, or why it was so important. Determined to uncover the truth, Daniel decided to do what no one in his family had dared to do in 100 years: exhume his great-grandfather's coffin. Daniel knew that digging up a grave wasn't something he could do on a whim. It required legal permission and delicate planning. He spent the next few days researching the process, contacting local authorities, and consulting with a historian who specialized in the Hughes family's contributions to early technology. At the local courthouse, Daniel met with Judge Whitman, a stern but fair man in his 60s. Daniel presented the letter, along with the blueprints and photographs he had discovered. His voice was steady, but his hands trembled slightly as he explained his case. "I'm not doing this out of curiosity," Daniel said, his tone earnest. "My great-grandfather left this letter, and it hints at something significant, possibly groundbreaking. I believe there's more to his death and his legacy than we've been told." Judge Whitman examined the documents carefully, his expression unreadable. Finally, he set the papers down and looked at Daniel over his glasses. "This is highly unusual," the judge said, leaning back in his chair. "But given the historical significance and the fact that you are his direct descendant, I'm willing to approve your request. However, you must follow all guidelines. Hire a professional team, and any findings must be reported to the authorities." Daniel nodded, relief washing over him. "Thank you, Your Honor. I'll make sure everything is handled respectfully." The next hurdle was informing his family. Daniel's mother, Margaret, was skeptical, calling the plan disturbing and unnecessary. His younger sister, Emily, was more open-minded but worried about the emotional toll this journey might take on Daniel. "Are you sure about this?" Emily asked as they sat together on the porch one evening. "What if you don't find anything? Or worse, what if you find something that changes the way we see him?" Daniel stared out at the horizon, the orange glow of the setting sun casting long shadows over the land. "I need to know, Emily," he said softly. "If there's even a chance that great-grandfather's work could help someone or explain his death, I have to try." With reluctant support from his family and approval from the authorities, Daniel assembled a small team, including an archaeologist and a forensic expert. The date was set for the exhumation, and as the day approached, Daniel felt a mix of excitement and unease. Whatever lay in that coffin had been hidden for a century, and soon it would be brought to light. The day of the exhumation arrived, and the air was thick with tension. A gray sky loomed overhead, casting an eerie stillness over the cemetery. The Hughes family plot, nestled in a quiet corner beneath an ancient oak tree, felt timeless. Daniel stood by the gravesite, flanked by Emily and a small team of professionals. His mother had chosen not to attend, finding the act too unsettling. The team carefully cleared away the overgrown grass and dirt covering the gravestone. The epitaph read, "Here lies Benjamin Hughes, a man of vision whose light was extinguished too soon." Daniel ran his fingers over the words, feeling their weight. The archaeologist, Dr. Lillian Carter, broke the silence. "We're ready to begin." With precision and care, the team began digging. Each shovel of earth brought them closer to uncovering what lay beneath. The process was meticulous, ensuring that nothing was disturbed beyond necessity. Hours passed, and the outline of the coffin began to take shape. As the last layer of soil was removed, the coffin's surface came into view. It was unlike anything Daniel had expected, a polished metallic box with intricate engravings of gears and mathematical symbols. The design was far ahead of its time, resembling something more suited to a modern laboratory than a turn-of-the-century burial. Dr. Carter stepped back, her voice tinged with awe. This isn't an ordinary coffin, it's some kind of prototype. Daniel's heart raced. He knelt by the coffin, running his hands over the engravings. He designed this, he murmured, a mix of pride and confusion flooding him. But why? One of the forensic experts, Dr. Marcus Reed, inspected the seals. It's hermetically sealed. That's unusual for coffins of this era. Whatever's inside has been preserved exceptionally well. As they prepared to open the coffin, Daniel couldn't shake the feeling that this moment was more significant than he had imagined. The letter's cryptic message echoed in his mind. The truth lies with me. The team pried open the seals with great care. A soft hiss escaped as the airtight compartment released its pressure. Slowly, the lid was lifted, revealing the interior. Inside lay the remains of Benjamin Hughes, perfectly preserved. His face was serene, as though he had been frozen in time. But what captured everyone's attention was not the body. It was the intricate mechanism surrounding him. Tiny gears, wires, and a series of glowing crystals formed a network around the coffin's interior, as though Benjamin had been buried within the heart of a machine. Daniel's breath caught. "What is this?" he whispered, his voice trembling. Dr. Reed examined the mechanisms. It looks like some kind of energy system, but I've never seen anything like it." As the team stood in stunned silence, one of the crystals emitted a faint glow. A soft humming sound filled the air, growing louder with each passing second. "What's happening?" Emily asked, clutching Daniel's arm. "I don't know," Daniel replied, his eyes fixed on the glowing crystal. "But I think we're about to find out." The humming grew louder, resonating through the quiet cemetery as if the entire area had become a part of the mysterious mechanism inside the coffin. The faint glow of the crystal intensified, casting an ethereal light over Benjamin Hughes's perfectly preserved body. Dr. Marcus Reed instinctively took a step back, his professional demeanor giving way to awe. "This isn't just an energy source, it's a technology far beyond its time." Daniel couldn't take his eyes off the intricate system. His grandfather's face looked peaceful, but the machinery surrounding him hinted at something extraordinary. One of the scientists, a young technician named Clara, cautiously reached for the glowing crystal with a small instrument. "Be careful, Doctor," Carter warned, her tone a mix of curiosity and caution. Clara gently touched the crystal with the tool. Instantly, a soft mechanical sound echoed from within the coffin, like gears shifting into place. Then, to everyone's astonishment, a small compartment slid open at the base of the coffin. Inside was a stack of meticulously preserved notebooks and a strange metallic disc engraved with symbols that resembled constellations. "What is this?" Daniel whispered as he picked up one of the notebooks. The pages were filled with sketches, equations, and annotations in his grandfather's neat handwriting. Dr. Carter examined the metallic disc. "This looks like some kind of data storage device," she said, turning it over carefully. "But it's unlike anything I've ever seen." Daniel flipped through the notebook in his hands. One sketch immediately caught his eye. It was a design for the very coffin Benjamin had been buried in, complete with detailed notes about energy preservation and cellular integrity. Emily, standing just behind Daniel, leaned in to read the notes. "It says here that the mechanism is meant to sustain life or preserve it. A means to suspend time," she read aloud, her voice filled with wonder. Dr. Reed interrupted. "If what this says is true, Benjamin Hughes may have been experimenting with a form of cryogenic preservation long before it was even conceivable in modern science." Daniel's mind raced. But why would he build something like this? Why seal himself inside it? Before anyone could speculate further, the glowing crystal dimmed slightly and the humming softened. Dr. Carter knelt by the coffin, carefully inspecting the remaining mechanisms. It's as if this whole system was waiting to be discovered. It's a message, or perhaps a warning. Daniel's grip tightened on the notebook. The letter. He said the truth lies with him. I think he wanted me to find this. The team exchanged glances, the weight of the discovery sinking in. This wasn't just about uncovering the truth behind a family mystery. It was the revelation of a scientific breakthrough that could change everything they thought they knew about life and death. As Daniel looked down at his grandfather's serene face, he felt a wave of emotion wash over him. The man who had inspired him so deeply, who had left such a profound legacy, had also taken a secret to the grave, one that now rested in Daniel's hands. And they had only begun to scratch the surface. Daniel sat by the opened coffin, the notebook in his lap as the team carefully examined the strange artifacts. The notebooks contained detailed blueprints, scientific theories, and journal entries that revealed an extraordinary narrative. Each page felt like a conversation with his grandfather, a man he had admired but never truly known. One entry caught Daniel's attention. To my future kin, if you're reading this, then you've uncovered what I could not finish in my time. I have dedicated my life to unraveling the mysteries of preservation and unlocking the true potential of humanity. This coffin is my legacy, not as a tomb, but as a vessel for possibility. Remember, the pursuit of knowledge must be tempered with wisdom and compassion. Daniel's hands trembled as he read the words aloud. The room fell silent as the weight of Benjamin's message sank in. What does he mean by unfinished? Emily asked, her voice breaking the stillness. Daniel turned the page to find a series of calculations and an ominous note. The energy source remains unstable. While it can preserve life, prolonged exposure could lead to catastrophic failure. It must be handled with extreme care. Dr. Reed stepped forward. This explains the dimming crystal. The energy source is depleting after all this time. If it fails completely, we could lose any remaining data, or worse, destabilize the entire system. Daniel's heart sank. We have to preserve everything, every page, every component. Dr. Carter nodded. We'll need specialized equipment to transport this safely. I can call my lab and arrange for secure handling. As they worked, Emily unearthed another clue, a faded photograph tucked between the pages of one notebook. It showed Benjamin as a young man, standing with a group of people outside a laboratory. Behind them was a sign that read Hughes Institute for Advanced Studies. What's this? Emily asked, holding the photo up. Daniel examined it closely. This must have been his lab. I didn't even know it existed. Dr. Reed studied the photo and pointed to one of the individuals. That's Dr. Alistair Moore. He was a renowned physicist in the early 20th century. Daniel frowned. He's mentioned in the notes. My grandfather worked with him on developing this technology. It wasn't just his idea, it was a collaboration. Emily's eyes lit up. Do you think the lab still exists? Daniel hesitated. It's possible. But even if it does, it's been 100 years. Who knows what we'd find? Dr. Carter interjected. If the lab holds more of his research, it could answer the questions we can't solve here. We need to locate it. Daniel nodded, determination setting in. Then we'll find it. If this is my grandfather's legacy, I need to see it through. As the night deepened, the team carefully cataloged every piece of Benjamin's work, ensuring nothing was lost. For Daniel, each discovery felt like another step closer to understanding the man he had admired from afar. Yet with every answer came new questions. Who was Benjamin Hughes beyond the inventor? What drove him to create this extraordinary technology? And what secrets still lay hidden in the pages of his notebooks? Daniel knew one thing for certain: his grandfather's story was far from over. The following week, Daniel, Emily, and Dr. Carter worked tirelessly to piece together the fragments of Benjamin's mysterious life. The photograph from the notebook became their guide. The name Hughes Institute for Advanced Studies led them to a small archive at the city's Historical Society where they uncovered a record of the lab's location. It was built on the outskirts of the city near what's now an industrial park, Emily said, pointing to an old map. but it's been listed as abandoned for decades. Daniel leaned over the map, his finger tracing the route to the lab. We need to see it for ourselves. If there's even a chance his work is still there, we have to find it. Dr. Carter was cautious. Abandoned sites like this can be dangerous. We'll need permission to access it and the right equipment to ensure it's safe. After several days of negotiating with local authorities, the team gained access to the site. Armed with protective gear, flashlights, and a small team of specialists, they arrived at the crumbling remains of the Hughes Institute. The structure was a shadow of its former self, weathered and overgrown, with vines snaking up the cracked walls and debris scattered across the grounds. "This place looks like it hasn't been touched in decades," Emily murmured, her voice echoing in the eerie silence. Daniel took a deep breath, steeling himself. "Let's see what's inside." The main entrance was blocked by rusted steel doors that had warped with time. With effort, the team pried them open, revealing a dark hallway lined with dust-covered windows. The air was thick and heavy, carrying the scent of decay and mildew. Inside, the lab was frozen in time. Broken chairs and desks lay scattered across the floor, and shelves were filled with crumbling books and jars of unknown substances. But in the far corner of the room, something caught Daniel's eye. A door with Benjamin's name etched into the tarnished metal plaque. Dr. Benjamin Hughes, lead researcher. "This is it," Daniel whispered, his voice filled with both awe and apprehension. The door was locked, but Emily found a small key hidden in one of the desk drawers. It clicked open, revealing a pristine room sealed off from the decay that plagued the rest of the building. The air inside felt different, lighter, almost as if it had been untouched for years. At the center of the room was a large steel cabinet with a glowing emblem on the front, identical to the symbol on Benjamin's notebooks. Next to it was a table holding more blueprints and tools, meticulously organized as if Benjamin had just stepped away. "What is this place?" Emily asked, her voice trembling with wonder. Dr. Carter approached the cabinet cautiously. "It looks like a containment unit. Whatever's inside, it's still active." Daniel's heart raced as he stepped closer. "Open it. We need to know what's in there." Dr. Carter hesitated but nodded, carefully manipulating the control panel. With a hiss of pressurized air, the cabinet slowly opened, revealing its contents. A cylindrical device glowing faintly with an iridescent light. The device emitted a low hum, its surface etched with intricate patterns. "This must be the energy source he mentioned," Dr. Carter said, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's still functioning after all these years." Daniel stared at the device, a mix of awe and apprehension washing over him. This is what he dedicated his life to. This is his legacy. But as they examined the device, they noticed something else, a set of handwritten notes taped to the inside of the cabinet door. Daniel peeled them off and read aloud. "To my successor, if you've found this, then you are ready to continue what I started. This technology holds the power to change the world, but it is not without its dangers. Use it wisely, and do not let it fall into the wrong hands." The weight of Benjamin's words settled over Daniel. His grandfather's invention was both a gift and a burden, and the responsibility to protect it now rested on his shoulders. "We need to get this back to the lab," Dr. Carter said firmly. "But we must proceed carefully. One wrong move could destabilize it." Daniel nodded, his resolve strengthening. "We'll do whatever it takes to ensure this legacy is preserved and used for good." With the cylindrical device carefully transported to the modern laboratory, Daniel, Emily, and Dr. Carter worked tirelessly to analyze and understand it. Every detail of Benjamin's invention seemed far ahead of its time, defying the limitations of the 20th century. Dr. Carter was astonished. This is not just a renewable energy source, it's a self-sustaining power unit. It could revolutionize the way we produce and distribute energy, potentially eliminating dependence on fossil fuels. Daniel looked at the glowing device with mixed emotions. "It's incredible, but it's also terrifying to think of the responsibility my grandfather carried. He must have known how dangerous this could be in the wrong hands." Over the next few weeks, the team carefully replicated Benjamin's notes, ensuring every detail of his research was preserved. As they worked, Daniel found solace in learning about his grandfather's brilliance and dedication. He felt closer to Benjamin than ever before, understanding the sacrifices he made to protect his work and his family. One day, while organizing the notes, Daniel found a final letter tucked into the last pages of the notebook. It was addressed to him as if Benjamin had anticipated this moment. My dearest Daniel, if you are reading this, it means you have found what I could not finish. This invention was my life's work, but it was also my greatest burden. I created it to help humanity to bring light to a darkened world. But I feared its potential for misuse. That fear kept me from sharing it, and it cost me everything. You, Daniel, have the heart and wisdom to use this responsibly. You are the bridge between my dreams and the future I could never see. Carry this legacy forward, but always remember, knowledge is power, but compassion is strength. I am proud of you, even if I couldn't tell you in person. You were always meant to uncover this truth. With love, Grandfather Benjamin. Tears welled in Daniel's eyes as he clutched the letter. It was as if Benjamin had reached across time to speak directly to him, offering guidance and encouragement. This was his gift to the world, Daniel said softly. And now, it's up to us to honor it. The grand unveiling. Months later, with the device fully understood and safely replicated, Daniel and the team presented Benjamin's invention to the world. In a global conference streamed to millions, they revealed the clean, renewable energy source capable of powering entire cities with minimal environmental impact. This invention is not just a breakthrough in technology, Daniel said during his speech. It is a testament to the perseverance of one man, my grandfather, who believed in a better future. And it is a call to all of us to ensure that this technology benefits humanity. The audience erupted in applause, but Daniel felt a deeper sense of fulfillment. He had not only uncovered the truth about his grandfather, but had also ensured that Benjamin's legacy would live on, inspiring generations to come. Epilogue. A family united back home. Daniel visited the grave of his grandfather with Emily by his side. In his hand, he carried a small plaque engraved with Benjamin's name and the words, "The visionary who changed the world." He placed it gently at the foot of the headstone, a symbol of the impact Benjamin had left behind. "You did it, Grandpa," Daniel said softly. "Your dream is alive, and it's going to make the world a better place." As he stood there, a sense of peace washed over him. The journey had been long and filled with challenges, but it had brought him closer to his roots and helped him find his purpose. For Daniel, the future was not just about technology or innovation. It was about connection, family, and the unyielding power of hope.
Subscribe and press the bell icon so that you never miss the amazing video.